All right, hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to break down a sales closing scenario where I will be selling a product that I have no knowledge about. A coaching program for people who want to get into rocket science. And I'm going to be chat role playing here with my Chat Master GPT that I created and showing you why you don't really need to have the information about a product to actually sell, because sales is not about product knowledge. It is about knowing what the prospect wants, needs, what their challenges are, and then presenting them something that is going to get them over that hump. It is an emotional thing. So we're going to jump in, and here's the prompt that I gave it is I said, "Hey, Chat Master, I want to simulate a closing scenario in a sales call setting, selling a product that I have zero knowledge about. This will be a coaching program for people who want to get into rocket science. You will be a 23-year-old man named Jack. He is an analytical type who loves details and numbers and is very skeptical. He likes to stall on decisions and hates being pushed or rushed into a decision. Challenge level 9 out of 10. All right, let's go. Great. Let's run a simulated high-stakes closing call scenario, selling a coaching program for aspiring rocket scientists to Jack. Now, just if anybody is skeptical, I know nothing about rocket science. All right. Your skeptical, detail-obsessed, overthinking prospect. Your job, close them on a call, even though you know nothing about rocket science. You're the closer. I'll be Jack, a 23-year-old engineer type who's analytical and fact-driven, detail-oriented. He'll ask deep questions, super risk-averse and hates pressure, prone to stalling with a I need to think about it or I'm not sure. Challenge level is 9 out of 10. Guidance, lead with coaching intent, not hard sales. Mirror Jack's tone, calm and methodical. Use belief reframing, consequence frames, and hierarchy of criteria where appropriate. Now, this GPT has access to a lot of my coaching content and sales content, so it knows kind of my style here. Slowly build trust. So it's kind of telling me what it wants me to do. So I said I'm going to say I'm ready. Let's start the sales call. All right, and then we'll do a role play pause. All right, so 8 seconds of pause to simulate typing a real-time interaction. Hey, yeah, I'm here. So this is Jack. Okay, cool. Not totally sure what this is all about, though. I saw something about rocket science coaching. What exactly is this program supposed to do? Hey, Jack, no worries. So this is like a prospect that just gets right into it and tries to frame the whole call. And it's not like a strong I need to frame the call. It's I'm a control freak and I need to know stuff to feel comfortable. Hey, Jack, no worries. We will get to all of those details very shortly. We will get to, I'm going to say not very shortly. I will get to all those details in a little bit. First, I just wanted to ask you, what brings you to the call? Well, I mean, I've always been fascinated by space, propulsion systems, that sort of thing. I'm not totally sure if I want to be a rocket scientist exactly, but I've been thinking about switching from mechanical into aerospace. I don't know what that means. I guess I just want to see if there's something here that could actually work, you know? But yeah, I'm definitely not ready to commit to anything. I like to take time with my decisions. All right. So this GPT is a little robotic, but whatever. I'm not totally sure I want to be a rocket scientist. I mean, I've always been fascinated by space. I just wanted to see if there's something here that could actually work, you know? Cool. So when you say you're looking for something that could actually work, what do you mean? So I want to know what his result he wants, right? So he doesn't know if he wants to be a rocket scientist. He wants to switch from mechanical into aerospace. When he's looking for something that could actually quote unquote work, work in what way? Is this means work because to get you to become a rocket scientist? I don't know what that means. So I actually, while we're on the topic here, usually I would actually go into framing this thing, but I kind of want to know what he means here. I mean, something that's not just hype or vague motivational fluff. There's so much coaching out there that's all theory or mindset, point A to point B. I'm not looking for someone to cheerlead me into believing I want a real system. Yeah, I say work. I mean, it actually helps someone get a job or internship in aerospace. So he says, this is something prospects will do is they'll say they'll externalize the problem and say like other people, or they'll say you, or they'll say someone. Yeah, I could see how someone could get value out of this, something like that. And for when they do that, I want to make sure that they're not talking about other people and they're actually talking about themselves. So, um, so I say, got it. Thanks for sharing that. Actually help someone get a job or not just feel better about wanting one. Yeah, and look, right up in the beginning, I want to avoid something called a yes or no question. So I'm tempted to ask like is that what you want or whatever, which is you can only say yes or no to. I want to actually have him elaborate on some things here. So I'm not looking for someone to cheerlead me. He says A to Z. All right, so I'll say so you mentioned A to Z or A to B, he says. A to B. What is the end destination that you'd like to get to? All right. Well, what is he doing here? Honestly, I want to be working at a place like SpaceX, Blue Origin, maybe even NASA, but not in some vague support role. I want to be doing something, doing meaningful technical work, maybe propulsion systems, orbital mechan. Okay, cool. Something on that side. But right now, I just don't have a clue what the actual roadmap looks like to get there. So these little like buzzwords that they say, really like roadmap, the words that they say. So okay, I don't know what a propulsion system is. I don't know what orbital mechanics are, and I know what these businesses are. Um, I just know that he doesn't want a support role. So all I know I can do is I can always I can always repeat back to him what he said. All right. So I can always repeat back uh what he said. He says he's got the work ethic, but he's missing a blueprint. So when I pitch him, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make up a pitch on the spot, and it's just going to be based off the words that he says. All right, and I'll show you how to do that exactly. All right. So I'm going to use this data later. All right, great. Thanks for telling me. So I'll say thanks for that. What I've found to be the most useful for these calls is why don't we have a brief conversation about where you're at right now, what might be getting in the way, and where you're wanting to go. Then I guess based on that, we can come up with a plan. Now, if I don't feel like I can help, actually with this type of offer, usually I do like a hey, I can make a referral or something, but like this is just a a B2C offer. They need like a harder leadership frame with like less of wiggle room out. Usually what I do when I frame it is I'll say, hey, like if I can't help you, I can make a referral. If not, you know, like if I, you know, here's what we could do is talk about how I can help. And then if I can't help, I can make a referral. But with this one, it's too B2C. So we're just going to like keep it really tight. Now, the reason why is because I found in B2C, they need more. It should actually be more professional than if you're in B2B. I found that going zigging and zagging, going opposite works better. So B2C would like some more professional type of call that's got more. It's more tight. It's more. There's more leadership. It's exact. Here's exactly what we're gonna do. It's just a different type of call. So I already know this guy's gonna kind of like rebuttal this thing. He's gonna fight back a little bit. So I'm just gonna, with his personality type, I'm gonna keep it chill. So we'll see what he says. Yeah, and like I thought, yeah, sure, that makes sense as long as this isn't leading into some kind of pressure to sign up for anything today. I'm just here to gather info for now. Hope that's clear. Good thing is I don't know much, so there ain't much info you're gonna get from me. Cool, man. No sweat. Now, whenever they're doing stuff like this, don't handle it here. There's no. He hasn't told us his problem. He hasn't gone into any sort of urgency. He doesn't have the emotional. He's not in a place emotionally to like really change his operating basis on this. So we'll just do that later. So to start, can you give me a brief overview of what you're doing now in your career? Like, what's your current job, etc. What I should have said is job, income, etc. Yeah, so right now I'm working as a junior mechanical engineer at a robotics company. It's decent, pays the bills. I'm mostly doing CAD. I don't even know what that is. Some simulation, don't know what that is. Occasional hands-on testing. And so what happens is now, like if I was on a sales call, just for the sake of this, if I was on a sales call, I'd be Googling like a madman. I'd be Googling and defining terms like crazy. I've done that a lot, especially in like people that understand like business terms and stuff. I've taken a few online aerospace courses, orbital mechanics, basic propulsion, but it's all self-taught so far. No mentors, no roadmap. Cool. Feels like I'm grinding in the dark, hoping I'm doing the right things. So I like this grinding in the dark. He's good with he's gonna buy on an analogy, but and I'm definitely gonna use a rocket analogy. All right, cool. Wow. So I'm gonna actually acknowledge this guy for how hard he works because he has some sort of like he definitely has a bit of a some pride in his hard work and how he's able to do things on his own. So what I want to do is acknowledge him for his hard work, but then I want to acknowledge him for not wanting to do it on his own because he seems to be the type of guy that's going to try to do it on his own. So I'm going to start to craft a bit of an identity. Wow. That's amazing that you have that kind work ethic. Not many and it's great that you're reaching for help here. Most people with great work ethics just tend to do things all by themselves and go way too slow. Or I'm going to say go do things all by themselves and have too much pride to ask for help. I'm just going to say, and it's like a little tiny micro agreement. It's just kind of like a, And so what he's going to do is he's going to start to buy into this new identity, and he's going to start to demonize the old identity. So he goes, yeah, I mean, I've definitely been that guy before, but I've hit a point where I realize brute forcing it solo only gets me so far. So he's starting to realize this, and he's going to start to buy in a different identity. I'm fine doing the work. I just don't want to waste another year heading in the wrong direction. That's kind of why I took this call. Just trying to figure out if there's actually a smarter path here. For sure, man. Smart move. So, what are you making now in your current job? He's a 74K base with a small bonus, maybe 3 to 5K if we hit targets. So he's at less than 80K. But definitely not where I want to be long term, especially considering how specialized aerospace roles can get. I know the ceiling's a lot higher if I break into that world. All right, cool. So let's jump in. How much are you so I'm going to get into this. It's a perfect comparison. How much are you wanting to make? Actually, I want to make sure I acknowledge. So I want to see what I want to see here is his motivation. If it's financial or if it's purpose or if it's, I'm not expecting that right away, but if I'm going to invest time or money into something, it needs to actually move me towards that kind of trajectory. Okay, so he is definitely going to be a financial buyer. So what I do kind of in the beginning of a call is I kind of try to find out how they make decisions. So what kind of buyer are they? If I'm not expecting that right away, but if I'm going to invest time or money into something, it needs to actually move me toward that kind of trajectory. Like if this coaching thing doesn't have a clear ROI tied to real opportunities, I'm out. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a note, if I'm on a call like this, to price anchor hard. And so because I know they're going to give a pretty hardcore financial objection for sure. Okay, gotcha, man. So what's been the challenge? Actually, not what's been the challenge. What's your current challenge right now? Now, when you ask somebody about their problem, the way you structure the question is extremely important. So many people ask, what's kind of your future challenge? Or if you could change something, and maybe it's just a very complicated, all over the place data gathering type of thing. What you're trying to do is this question here needs to be like a spear. It needs to just extract one problem, one big problem. So what's your current challenge right now when it comes to finding a good career? Or let's say your ideal career path in this field. Because like I don't know anything about this, so I'm just going to keep things a little vague, kind of. I'd say the biggest challenge is the signal to noise ratio. There's a ton of content online, YouTube, Reddit, random MOOCs. I don't know what that is, but it's overwhelming. And most of it feels disconnected from the hiring process or real world industry needs. Okay, so I'm going to use this in my pitch. And another thing I'm doing is I'm crafting a pitch the whole time. I'm crafting a pitch. It's a Grand Slam offer on a sales call isn't like a Grand Slam offer like in the Alex Hormozi book. A Grand Slam offer on a sales call is the one that is perfect for the prospect. So and this is why I believe in crafting the pitch custom to the client. So if whatever they say, I'm going to say things like, he says, as I'm going to say things like, you know how earlier you mentioned it's overwhelming how much content is out there and it's so diluted and divorced from the actual hiring process. It's disconnected. These people are just kind of saying stuff that isn't actually based in real world industry needs. Yes, because he said it, it's going to be gold to him. And then I'm going to say, well, the first step here, and write this down. What we're going to do is we're going to give you our, hiring process thing, whatever. And it doesn't even matter what the name is and what it really is. It's as long as it's connected to his thing. I don't have anyone who's actually in the field saying, here's what companies are really looking for. Here's how to position yourself. Here's what to ignore. So yeah, the challenge is not knowing what matters. I'm just collecting puzzle pieces without the box cover, That's also a good one. So he's pretty much giving me ammo. And also the more they talk, the more ammo you got. So signal to noise ratio. So there's a ton of content online, YouTube, Reddit, it's overwhelming. Disconnecting. Okay. So here's what companies are really looking for. I don't have anyone who's actually in the field saying, here's what companies are really looking for. Here's how to position yourself, and here's what to ignore. Okay, I see. So what I'm going to do is, the pain is going to be in a bit of not knowing, but this is more of a solution problem. He can't find a solution. It's more of a, I don't know what to do. But that's not where the pain is. I could say, how's that affecting you? He's just going to say, well, I have to search stuff up. It's a symptom. So the pain is really, what is he trying to escape from? All right. And what I want to do here is ask him about his current job. So, okay, I see. And tell me a bit about your current job. Do you like it? Watch. It's ... fine. Like, I don't hate it. The team's solid. The work's stable, but I don't feel challenged. It's just kind of rinse and repeat. Same design loops, same problems, different week. I guess the way I'd put it is, it's comfortable, but it's not fulfilling. And that bugs me more than I thought it would. Bugs you? So what I'm going to do is a quick mirror. Old Chris Voss. Just take one little thing and it's got to be the right thing. He's on this kind of hamster wheel. And now notice, I barely talk. All I'm doing is just good questions. And the questions get shorter. Yeah, and then it'll open them right up. I catch myself thinking, if I stay here another 2 to 3 years doing the same thing, what am I actually building toward? I didn't go into engineering just to coast. I wanted to be part of something bigger, pushing the edge of what's possible: space, propulsion, next-gen tech. That's the stuff that lit me up back in school. So yeah, it bugs me that I'm not on that path yet. Wow, I understand. So it seems like the issue here is getting you. So I'm gonna do something called a summarization, which is gonna encapsulate the whole problem into one nice, neat bundle. So it looks like the main issue here is that you are in a position that is a bit monotonous and not in the field that truly lights you up. And to go from where you are now to being in a ideal role in the rocket science field. What did he say here? Is overwhelming because most info out there is disconnected from what actually works. And I'm even going to add to it. You just don't really know where to start. Am I hearing that? Yeah, that's basically it. It's like I know where I want to go. I just don't know which steps actually move the needle and which are just busy work. And I don't want to spend the next year researching myself into a circle only to end up in the same spot. A year, huh? How long you been trying to solve this? So this is a perfect time to start getting into the time frames, right? Now we can start to stretch it. The reason I'm not going into impact and how's it affecting him now is because it's not like, yeah, you had a problem for maybe a day. Can't really ask how's that affecting you. You have a problem for weeks and months and years. You can say, dude, is this affecting you in any way? How is this affecting you? Honestly, probably about 18 months. I've dabbled in courses, reached out to people on LinkedIn, but it's been scattered. No real structure, no momentum. Okay, so I'm not going to leave it here because this isn't the problem. This is his research phase. The real problem is this. Watch. Just passed the 2-year mark last month. Got promoted once, but the role didn't really change much. Just more responsibility, same kind of work. It's kind of what triggered this whole search, honestly. So I'm going to use this here, what triggered the whole search, as I'm going to tie that into the why now to get the good urgency. If this is what progress looks like here, then I'm definitely climbing the wrong ladder. Wow. Has this had any effect on you personally? Now you can buffer it a little bit, like I can imagine that's annoying, right? Has this had any effect on you personally? Now, I'm going to ask about personal because finance is what matters to him when it comes to making a decision. Purpose and being a part of something bigger is his main motivation. So I'm going to continually focus on his main motivation and how it's affecting his psyche. Loss of purpose will affect your psyche pretty bad. So I'm gonna twist the knife there. Yeah, it definitely has. It's been messing with my motivation. Like I still show up. That's usually the symptom of a lack of purpose. Like I still show up, I still do the work, but I don't feel driven anymore. It's weird. I used to be the guy staying up late building side projects for fun. Now I barely touch that stuff outside of work. Feels like I'm running in low power mode all the time. It's also starting to bleed into my confidence a bit. Like I'm wondering if I actually have what it takes to break into something bigger or if I'm just going to coast in the safe lane forever. So now in the discovery, what you'll find is this is where people will open up the most. And it's also where you're going to find the information about their of what they're going to be more willing to share with you what their objection actually is. So when he's going to give me a price objection and probably think about it objection. Well, the reality is it's his confidence. Because if he was a confident and he believed in himself more, he would just make the decision. So I'm going to use this when he gives me that objection because that's actually what's behind that objection, motivating that objection. So because he's willing to give it to me here, he won't be willing to give it to me after the price has dropped because he thinks I'm going to use it against him. But in the discovery, prospects are like 99.9% less likely to be closed off and hide information they're a lot more likely once you're trying to talk about to them about an offer, or once you're trying to talk to them about a price or getting them started. You got to make sure that you have tied down those objections nice and neat. So a bit like I'm actually wondering if I have what it takes to break into something bigger, or if I'm just going to coast in the safe lane. So what I want to do here is, I know he's gonna I'm gonna talk about this whole safe lane thing later. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do right now? I'm gonna say, why is the safe lane so bad? I'm gonna get him to tell me. Now, notice I'm not talking about aerospace. I'm not talking about rocket science. I'm not talking about the nitty gritty details, because that's what causes think about it objections. I ain't going to do that. I'm going to talk to him about his purpose in life. I'm going to talk to him about what drives him. I'm going to talk to him about where he wants to go. So he's saying comfort now, regret later. The safe lane is predictable, yeah, but so is the ceiling. So is the boredom. I don't want to wake up 10 years from now with a decent paycheck, with no real impact, no challenge, no spark. I didn't get into engineering to play it safe. I got in because I wanted to push the boundaries, and if I'm being real, the safe lane feels like a slow death. What happens 10 years if you don't do it? Safe lane or fat? Oh, hold on. If you don't, I'm going to say don't get out of the slow lane, or don't get out of the, what did he say? Safe lane. Bitter. I'd probably be sitting in a nicer apartment, maybe making a low six figures, but knowing deep down I played small. I'd see other people doing the same. So I'm gonna do a couple like why now cost type stuff throughout this whole thing, but I'm gonna keep poking on this thing. But right now, what I want to do is get his goals. I'd see other people doing the kind of work I want to do, contributing to missions, solving harder problems, and I'd have to admit I never really tried. Wow, that's the part that scares me the most. Not failure, regret. I'm gonna use this against him when he tries to wiggle out of the sale. Totally. Like this is too heavy. Knowing I had a shot, I understand. I'm gonna say I understand. Thank you for telling me. So Jack, what's the ideal career look like for you? Like what's the goal? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to do something called a price anchor, where he's going to tell me one, we're going to look at his ideal work scene first, because I want him to see a picture in his mind of what it looks like, how it looks, how he's going about his day to day, and then I want to attach a financial something financial to it, and then from there, I want to ask him. I want to go in the past, and I want to ask him if he would have really did something about this years ago and got into this game years ago, and attach that to if he had the right information. So he goes, ideal? It's working in a team of sharp people, solving hard, meaningful problems. Something like propulsion systems for launch vehicles or orbital insertion. I'd love to be a part of a mission. Now, look, orbital insertion, launch vehicles, all this stuff. This would intimidate a closer, like a, what do you call them, like an amateur closer, because they would think, oh my god, the prospect knows more than me. You know, they might know more than you, but it doesn't. This is a jujitsu game. This isn't a boxing match. This isn't who has the most force wins or who has the most strength wins. This who has the most technique. So what I'm doing is I'm barely trying. I'm just asking the right little questions, short questions, and then he's talking and talking. So I can use all of this, the body weight of the opponent against him. So I'm not worried at all because I'm never going to even use this information. I'd love to be part of a mission that actually leaves Earth. Doesn't have to be SpaceX, but that level of innovation and urgency, that's the vibe. I want to wake up and feel like what I'm doing matters. Like my work is part of something way bigger than me. And yeah, financially, I want to be in a role where I'm paid for that level of contribution, $120,000 plus, maybe pushing $150,000 once I'm deep in. But more than anything, I want to feel proud of what I do, not just competent, proud. He wants to feel proud of what he does. Wow, very good. And I already called it earlier, prideful type. So that's why I'm pushing on that button a little bit. Okie dokie, cool. 120,000, maybe pushing 150K. Wow, that's incredible. So I'm gonna kind of use some visual cues here just to get him to visualize, so I can almost visualize it. So I can almost visualize that, and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, me too." He's gonna start seeing it. So what's possible here in terms of yearly income? I just want to get him stretching that 120K a year goal because it's not a big jump from where he's currently at. If he's at 80K, 120K is kind of nothing. Rolls in propulsion can hit 130 to 160. Okay. If you end up leading a team, you can climb higher. So yeah, definitely possible. Still not enough. So I want to see, do you want to also lead a team? Because I'm going to keep pushing the size of the goal. If it means I'm still close to tech. I don't want to get pushed into a management role that pulls me away from solving real problems. Got it. So if you were in a leadership and tech role, what could you make? I want him to tell me. Because again, even if I did know, let's say I had the information, because I don't know how much he could make. Even if I sit here and told him, did you know you could make $300,000 a year in that role? It doesn't matter because I said it. What matters is what he says. So it's actually better to not know anything and be kind of play dumb and just let him tell me. But again, I'm not chasing a number. The comp needs to reflect the impact, not replace it. Makes sense. So if I'm hearing you right, you've been kind of stuck for the past 2 years. Say you had the tools to find this ideal role 2 years ago. Where would you be at financially right now? Like, what would be different? All right. So I'm going to do a quick financial anchor here. Just to really tie it down so he doesn't give me a financial objection. Or not at least a big one. If I had the real roadmap 2 years ago, like clear steps, actual mentorship, industry insight, financially, probably be making 120,000. Could have compounded faster, maybe even lead an offer instead of basically So we're talking 30, 45K loss per year. Let's see here. Wow. That's true for you? So he basically told me the cost. This GPT is a little too nice to me. So he keeps saying it's not the money either. It's the time, the momentum, the compounding, the cost of trying to figure it out solo. Got it, man. So, what have you tried to figure this out? So I'm going to go into his past attempted solutions because I don't want him to think that there's a cheaper, easier, better option out there. So took a few online courses, blah blah blah, watched a ton of YouTube channels, tried cold messaging on LinkedIn, started a couple personal projects, looked at job postings, and they all want 3 to 5 years direct aerospace experience. So yeah, I've been trying just with no real direction or system to follow. Got it. Why do you feel like all of those solutions didn't work like you had hoped? So we want him to tell us why he feels like they didn't work, because that's what's missing in his current solutions, that when we pitch him, we can pitch in something that does work. So, okay, structure and feedback. Cool. So I'm going to pitch him structure and feedback. Everything was isolated, no real accountability, no outside perspective, no one saying. So now he's saying no real accountability. No one saying, here's how to translate. So whenever somebody is the type of person, let's say they get on a call and they say, I'm not expecting to buy today. And then they go and say, I want accountability. Just ask them what a good accountability looks like to them. And then they're basically telling you how they want to be pushed. And so then you use that as the thing that it gives you kind of that leverage and that hat to push them. So if somebody doesn't like to get pushed over the edge, but they want accountability, it's a contradiction. Hold on a second, man. You're the one that told me you want accountability. What do you think I'm doing right now? And then he's going to, well, I don't want it right now. Well, when do you want it? So you got to call them on contradictions. And these are the types of things, like if you have a good sales process, kind of like this, you can start to pull out this information, and you can start to build how you're essentially throughout your whole sales calls, you're building how you're going to close them, and you're predicting what's going to happen at the end of the call, and you know exactly what's going to happen, and you have a whole plan of action. So I'm collecting my my ace of spades right now. No real accountability. No outside perspective. No one's saying, here's, okay, got it. Understood. So what does ideal accountability like for you? I need him to tell me how he wants to be held accountable. Good question. I think ideal accountability for me looks like a mix of structure and pressure. Holy shit. He doesn't want to be pressured into a sale, but not hand-holding. Okay. Like someone who's actually in the field or understands the path, helping me map it out and then holding me to it. Not in a raw way, but like, hey, you said this matters. Why hasn't it moved yet? I want clear milestones, regular check-ins, and honest feedback, not just motivation, actual course correction. When I start drifting, I need someone who can zoom out when I get too in the weeds. I see. And what do you do specifically? So I'm getting him to tell me his behavior patterns when you drift or get in the weeds. So basically, he's going to tell me what he's going to do at the end of the call. All right. I overthink. I'll get caught up in researching, like deep diving into niche topics that feel productive. Moving goal, blah, 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 blah. Publishing it or asking for feedback. Basically, I substitute motion for progress. It feels safer. And since no one's checking in, there's nothing forcing me to zoom out and refocus. I stay stuck in loops, smart loops, but still loops. So this is your classic think about it objection, the analytical type, especially if you're like, you can sense it on them. You sense a think about it objection. It's not a think about it objection. It's an overthink about it objection. And so you can just do something like this, right? And so I'm getting all this data because when I close him, he's going to go, I got to think about it. And I'm going to say, didn't you say earlier that when you're about to do something and you're about to like move forward, you typically overthink? Yeah. Is it possible that that might be happening right now? And if he's honest, he'll say yes. Makes sense, man. Or actually, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, I feel that. I'm not even gonna agree with that. Yeah, I got it. So why is all this important to you now, though? He said something earlier that is telling about his urgency here. Now, I'm just going to say, why is it important to you now? Because there might be a different reason. But if he doesn't give me anything good, I'm going to bring up what he said earlier. See how this is vague? I don't buy it. I'm sick of drifting. Well, you mentioned earlier in the call that you recently got a raise or a promotion with more. So I'm going to basically concretify it. I want it to be concrete and real, not like I'm sick of it. You recently got a promotion, and that's what sparked all this. What did you mean by that? Title bump, but bit more pay, more responsibility. Everyone around me was like, "Congrats, man, you're moving up." But I remember sitting at, see, it's right here. It's the picture in his mind of where he was at. That's where the emotions are stored. They're stored in that image, not in this vague, generalized kind of, yeah, I'm just really sick of it, dude. No, it's right here. But I remember sitting at my desk a week later. You can even see him sitting, kind of looking down, crying, whatever. That's where the emotions are going to start to pop up. Nothing changed except more admin work and longer meetings. That was the moment. That's what you're looking for, is what was the moment? What was the specific thing? If I don't choose a different path, I'm going to wake up 5 years from now still collecting these little promotions and still feeling completely detached from the work I actually care about. So if I don't choose a different path, and what happens if you are living your life completely detached? Now, I have so much leverage right now. Like, I think I start to shut down piece by piece. I go through the motions, clock in, clock out, pay bills. But the spark, that part of me that loves to build and to think, it would fade. It would probably end up resentful. My job and myself, living detached, feels like slowly going numb. And I felt hits of that already. I don't want to be that to become my default. Okay. And are you okay with that? So this is a fearful guy. So I need to make sure that he is at an anger level. Like he needs to be like, I'm fucking fed up. Like you poked the bully. The bully poked the nerd one too many times, and he lost his mind. If I was okay with that, I wouldn't be on this call. I'm here because I know where this leads, and I want to change the trajectory before I get too far down the road. Okay. Whose decision is it if that road continues? Mine. It's on me. That's the part that stings the most. So I got to get him to take responsibility because I can't blame anyone else if I'm stuck. So, do you think now would be a good time to change? Yeah, I do. I don't want to keep replaying the same loop, stuck in the same spot. If there's a smarter way to real support, I'm ready to look at it. Ready to look? Or step forward and go down the road less traveled. So when they start getting into this like hyper motivated, like angry but like antagonistic mode, they're gonna there's this little part of them that's gonna keep kind of, it's in the words that they say. He just said like, I'm ready to change, right? But then there's this little thing right here where it goes, I'm ready to look at it. No, if there was a smarter way forward, would you go down that road? Not look at it. It's just like, he's basically like, his mind is coming in being like, but just to put the brakes on. I want him to fully explode here and be like, I'm ready. Yeah, you're right. I've done enough looking. It's time to step forward and actually do something about it. Why? I mean, you don't have to. No one is pushing you. The job you have pays good. Why not stay like this for another few weeks? I'm going to really push on this because he is his buying type. And if I can get a little bit of anger out of somebody like this, I'm going to push it. Because they typically don't ever get past that because it's a conservative level. It's a conservative kind of mental tone. I've already stayed like this for a few weeks. It's turned into months. Now it's been years. Every time I delay, I reinforce the same loop. And the longer I stay in it, the harder it'll be to break out. If I don't move now, while the pain is fresh, the fire's still lit, I might just settle. And settling scares me more than failing ever could. All right, man. I appreciate that. Let's go. So I'll even say congrats on making the change. That's a big move. Now, like, I'm already congratulating him as if he bought. Right? Congrats on making that change. Congrats. You know, he's waking up. So I feel like we have covered a bit of ground here. Is there anything else you feel I need to know? All right, so I'm just going to go ask him if there's anything else he wants to talk to me about, and then we're going to walk him through the program. All right. No, I think we've got the full picture. It's the first time I've actually talked through all of this out loud and not just kept it in my head. And that alone's been a bit of a wake-up call. So yeah, I'm in. Let's see what this path looks like. So we've got him in just the buying pocket. This is what you call the pocket. He's in a place where he's just ready to buy. Like, I could say anything at this point. So now I want to make sure I want to nail the pitch. So I'm going to walk you through how I nail the pitch here. All right. Well, at this point, I have no other questions. I can walk you through that path, A to Z, but you tell me, where do you want to go from here? So, little thing here is, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go from here? What's next? Give them the illusion of control a little bit, especially these types that are very control, kind of freakish. You'll notice kind of the more kind of apathetic, kind of takes leadership types will just want you to tell them. If I go with like a whole, where do you want to go from here? They'll be like, I don't know. I thought you know where to go. You tell me. Please tell me. This guy, he's going to want a little bit of control just to keep his sanity a bit. So if you've got a path, one that's structured, relevant, and not just theoretical fluff, I want to see it. I don't need a hype train or some flashy pitch. I just need to know if I show up and do the work, will this actually move me towards blah, blah, blah. So yes, I'm ready to take the next steps. You lead, I'll walk it. Nice. Cool, man. I like your attitude. Got a pen and paper. Now, something I do is I have prospects write. Okay, why? Because I want them to be engaged. I don't want them to sit there and listen to noise passively. I want them to be engaged as if the pitch is a conversation. All right. I don't do demos. I don't do I don't show them stuff. I don't just talk to them and then pitch. I have a conversation with them. I say things like, "Hey, you know how earlier you told me this? Well, it's because of this." And then I'm teaching them at the same time. And so I want them typing. Or not just typing, but writing. Honestly, if you got a path, okay. Yeah, I got it. Let's do this. Okay, cool. So earlier you mentioned that you feel like there is so much fluff out there. Like it's a ton of hoorah bros trying to motivate people, but no real tangible path to follow that works in the industry right now. Right? So this is the best thing to do is like when you're pitching, the best thing you can really do is like bring up the things I said earlier. Because it's like in that order is what's going to be important to them. The thing that they bring up the most is what they want the most. So what he doesn't want is any sort of fluff, hoorah, any of that stuff. But what he does want is an A to Z roadmap that's going to get him there. Lots of mindset talk, but not enough actual direction that maps to opportunities. So he says the word maps a lot. So, right. That's why the first step is called the rocket science roadmap. I'm going to say, write that down. Rocket science roadmap. So I'm going to command him write it down. So I'm going to always be telling him what to do. I want to get him into the idea that he takes the command. All right. So he wrote down rocket science roadmap. All right. So basically, we are a group of rocket science engineers who didn't just used to have a job in the field. We are currently active in the game now. So basically what he's saying is he wants something that works right now, and that's no people. He wants somebody on the inside who knows it's working. What that means is we are on the inside and watching hiring decisions happen every single day. All right. So we know what these top companies like NASA, he already said this earlier, or SpaceX are looking for. And it's not what anyone thinks on Reddit and YouTube. So he said that earlier as well. And I'm even going to like really nail that down. I'm going to say, I mean, these influencers are dead wrong. And I'm going to check in with him first. I want to make sure he gets that point. Make sense? And now this type, he might ask a question. So I'm going to make sure he doesn't here. Right? I'm going to keep deflecting the questions. So actually, it makes a lot of sense. Exactly what I've been thinking. Okay, cool. So outdated info, that changes everything. I'm listening. Keep going. Great. So what we did based on these experiences of finding top hires and seeing people with barely any experience or none at all, because that's going to be important too. It could have come up into it as an objection, like, do I need a ton of experience? Right? Because this guy has a ton of knowledge, but he might be worried about being able to get hired or not at all. Seeing people with barely any experience or not at all get hired for jobs ranging from 150K up to 400K. And we built it into a clear A to Z roadmap that you can follow that will get you in the door and, more importantly, hired. Make sense? And I'm not just going to say hired, so that you can start. I'm going to attach it to his main motivation. This is so important. You start getting in the weeds with the product and the features, and you're not talking about the thing that concerns him the most, and you're also not talking about his main motivation. What I want to say is we're going to get you hired so that you can start working in a place that feels meaningful and that is giving you purpose again. Feeling that spark of purpose and motivation again, and stop working at a soul sucking job. All right. So I'm going to really make sure I repeat that back to him. Yeah, 100% is exactly what I'm looking for, not just theory, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, this came from people inside industry, way more legit. So yeah, I'm in. What's next? Great. So step 2, write this down. It's called so his other point that he was making here was, so I know he wants accountability. I want to make that the third thing. But he had something here. He wanted a job that gets he can make a lot of money, but also be in the technical. It's called the ideal position proposal. So basically, it's a process where I'm going to say it's a way that you can start to convince your employer to let you have best of both worlds, so that you don't feel like you have to choose between like your mission, doing the thing you love to do, and a higher or lower pay. So I'm going to say, yep. So you know how, and it's always going to start with, so you know how you mentioned that you want to be in the technical field, but a lot of the money, a lot of the higher paid positions are in leadership, right? Leadership. So it's kind of like needing to choose between money and purpose, right? He didn't necessarily say it, but you can basically make that, you can make it out, right? Exactly. That's been the one biggest conflicts in my head. Like, do I stay hands on and love what, the income cap, leadership? Feels like a lose-lose sometimes, right? That's why we developed the, what do you call it? Ideal position proposal. Ideal position proposal. This is basically a process for convincing. Actually, I'm going to educate him a little bit more. Which means basically that a lot of these employers are begging for, because he was saying earlier that he wants to know what these companies want for people who can wear multiple hats and will gladly pay them what they are worth. So someone like you who eats, sleeps, and breathes this stuff is a unicorn to them. They would jump right on them. They say that sounds a little sexual. They're a unicorn to them. But what they need is a reassurance. What that means is, they want a proposal from you saying that you want the higher responsibility and pay, and to also be in the field, but you won't totally mess things up. Now, notice how simple this is. Make sense? All right. Now, something I forgot to do is actually ask him if he has any questions so far. And I probably should have attached that too, but let's see here. That actually makes a lot of sense. You're saying they're not opposed to hiring someone who's both technical and leadership material. They just need to trust that they're not going to crash the system. So the proposal becomes the bridge, the proof. That's smart. Honestly, no one's ever explained it like that before. Exactly. So what questions do you have so far? Now, what I'm going to do is, in between a lot of these pillars of the pitch, the steps, what I want to do is ask what questions they have. What I don't want to ask is, do you have any questions? One is a yes or no question, and the other is a open-ended question, and it assumes that there's a question there. So what I want to do throughout the pitch is reveal a lot of these either concerns, objections, or questions, and handle them throughout the process. Honestly, not many right now. This is landing. Maybe just two things. How fast do people usually see traction once they start the roadmap, like interviews, responses? And second, how much support is built in? Yep, that's step. And it's usually the next step that you're going to answer it, so you don't need to sit there and get in Q&A with them. I'm going to step fully into this. I want to know I've got the structure and fallback when things get messy. Yep, that's all in the last step here. Great question. See what he says. All right, I'm with you. What's the last step? Cool. So you mentioned that you want to you tend to overthink or fall off course if left to your own devices, right? Exactly. So what we have built into this whole program is something called, and write this down, the one-to-one accountability system. So he's going to write this down, and I'm basically just going to say this is going to work, and this is how we're going to get you there faster, is because you have the one-to-one accountability, which is his last concern here. Yep. So you have access to 4 of the top coaches in the space, all guys making 300 to 400K a year in aerospace. Working with you on a one-to-one basis. As you go through the roadmap, you will not only be helped, but he said this earlier, pushed and pressured to finish the whole thing. Now, I won't say this to anybody, but this guy says he wants the pressure. Finish the whole thing fast. That way, you don't end up falling off and maybe getting a role in a year. Nope. This program is 90 days long, and we push with all our might to get you to that role within that time frame. I'm going to say not only that, we get you to that role and out of your soul-sucking day job within that time frame. Makes sense? Now, what you notice is a lot of this sale is a lot of, hey, I know the information. I just need a roadmap of what to do in what order. The guy's smart enough. He knows everything there is to know about aerospace. But he doesn't have pressure. He doesn't have coaching, and he doesn't have somebody that understands him. All right? That's the kind of environment I need, structure with teeth. Now, something you could do is ask him, so does that answer the question you mentioned you had earlier about about getting there faster? So I want to make sure his question feels answered, and everything's tied down in it's like a nice, neat bow on every part of the process. All right, cool. So how do you, and I'm going to ask him, how does he feel about the process? Especially this analytical guy, I want him feeling. I don't want him thinking. I don't want him to think for a second. Feel. So how do you feel about the process? Now, you start getting people excited. Now, this is where a lot of people fuck up. This guy starts saying things like, I'm in, let's go, I want to buy. And they get excited. And they abandon their sales process. and then you start getting these crazy objections because he got too excited too quick, and you're not putting like a nice even pressure on him. All right. Okay. What I'm going to say, why do you say that? What makes you so certain? I want him to tell me. I'm going to put some pressure on him now, and I'm going to basically push this away from him. The harder they want to buy it, the more you push a little bit. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep a nice, like, it basically keeps you in control. Laid out a roadmap, you address the pain points, overwhelm, blah, 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 90-day push. That's what I locked in for me. Cool. So all this stuff he said he wanted, and I just pitched it back to him. Again, I know nothing about aerospace or rocket science. I don't know about the technical terms he said earlier. I don't have to. I just need to say roadmap because that's what he said. I just have to pitch back to him the things that he says. Okay, man. Now, to be clear, this is a very hands-on experience, not just some cookie cutter course. So it's important to me that you actually feel strong and aren't just excited. So to be clear, in terms of the process, I'm gonna get a scale 1 to 10 here. On a scale, just to make sure there's no objections. 10. How do you feel about the process? Now he's gonna give me an 8, probably. And what's beneath that is his hidden objection. Solid 10. Okay, never mind. Thanks for making it easy on me, ChatGPT. It's clear, it's grounded. All right. Understood. What's next? Where do you want to go from here? Okay, so it's simple. We process the investment. I send the onboarding form, and we get you a roadmap created. From there, we will hop on a one-to-one where we will give you your first piece of guidance. From there, you are off to the races. Make sense? Now, this is just kind of the deliverables and things like that. For the most part, I don't think I have any objections. I'm probably just he's probably just going to have a bit of a sticker shock. So, great. What other questions do you have? Now, I want to get him to ask me how much it is. Because he's getting excited. Too excited. You've been thorough. I don't really have any open loops. The only thing I'd ask is the best way to reach out if I get stuck. Yep, we would be communicating over Slack. Perfect, that works for me. All right, then I've got nothing else. Let's make this official. Cool. You sure you don't have any other questions? Like timeframes, cost, etc.? I want him to task me how much. Is it? The natural next question. Ah, good call. Yeah. Should probably ask, what's the total investment? Is it one time? And when is a 90 click? Okay, cool. 90-day clock starts today. Investment is just $6K. All right, 6,000. That's a serious move, but honestly, compared to the 70, 90K, oh god. So when they ask for a split pay, is a split pay something you would need? It's not a deal breaker. I can do it up front, but if there's a split option, it just gives me a bit more breathing room. Now, if you're a total savage, what you could do, like most closers will try to get something, but this guy, he's kind of like, it would give me breathing room and it'd feel better. It's more of a nice to have. A total savage would do this. What do you feel would hold you more accountable and ensure you do the work? Paying it in full or splitting it up? Because that's his thing, is I want accountability. Full pay, no questions. When I go all in financially, I don't let myself coast. Cool. Let's do it. What card do you want to put it on? Now, I kind of wish he would have gave me like a think about it objection, just because. But typically, when you really ask him, like this thing usually, this GPT usually gives me some good objections, but typically when you do the call right, like a why now is really good. You got the right motivation. You tied down every other objection. You got a financial cost. You financially anchored them. Usually, what happens is you just can't get an objection. You actually can't get an objection. So yeah, that's how it looks. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon.